reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but the host of this particular
Good morning. Welcome to the Google Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Byron, Hugo, Jermaine, new guy. Oh, anyway, good morning. Good morning. I got it well, so I know.
Well, Bishop.
Well,
Yes, my weekend was full of joy.
Good,
Amen.
good. I got over to the Mental Wonderland at Ascension that Dr.
Okay.
Sabrina Ali was talking about.
Okay.
Good crowd, good turnout.
Nice. Nice.
So I got a chance to stop over there. And let's see, I brought the morning message at Antioch yesterday.
Oh man, did anybody come to Christ?
No, I don't know if I'm ever going to be going back. So shout out to the good folks there, my good friend Pastor Victor Mans, and the good folks over there at the historic Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. So, yeah, I was just before we came on the air, I was telling Jermaine I watched the Jesse Smollett documentary. I would suggest people watch it.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go. Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, I think it's Netflix.
I'm
But
gonna go check it out.
there's some questions.
Uh-oh.
There's some questions, and so I got a chance to. But it was interesting because one of our folks here, local guy, class of 76 there in North Division. Frank Gaston Jr. was in it, and because he was the one that called the cops.
Frank was.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he called the cops.
But don't Frank play an instrument or something like that?
Frank was dancing.
Frank was a dancer. That's right. He was a
Yeah.
dancer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he came back and he did that whole "We Are the Drum."
Yeah, we are the drum. Yeah.
When he put that big production on, and
Yeah.
but yeah, he was. He was. Yeah. So Frank, I'm trying to remember. Did Frank play football at LeVar Way? I don't know. Maybe his brother did. But yeah. So I suggest people watch it. A lot of questions, and they found some surveillance tape. Now, you got what the two brothers were saying that allegedly happened. But then there are witnesses that said that there was, in fact, a white guy there in a hood. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a lot of questions like, you that hungry, you go. He said he went to the CVS or drugstore to get something because he just flew back into Chicago. And then it was closed. So then that's when he walked to the subway.
Well, I mean, my question is,
and it was that polar vortex.
Yeah, now that's what kind of
it was cold that night.
One, you're a star. Well, you were uprising star. You hungry? I understand that it happens sometimes, but for you to walk when it's cold, stop it, man. I mean, I just don't believe that. Yeah, man.
But I realized that they had subways that stay open 24 hours.
In Chicago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of surprising. All right. So, again, I would suggest you watch it. Like I said, there was questions at the end of it that kind of makes you go like, Yeah, and everybody kind of going around with the going around. And, he was able to, we argue and discuss the Constitution, but he had some constitutional protection there. It's real interesting. So it was interesting to hear Attorney Thomason this morning talk about where we are at this point in the history of our country. And I knew Richard Nixon had an enemies list. Richard Nixon had really a kind of a checkered history as president. It was Richard Nixon under him that they did federal set-asides for minorities in federal government. It was under Richard Nixon that you began to see some things. I think EPA happened under Richard Nixon. So there were some real progressive things that Richard Nixon did, but then there were some other things that he also did. And to hear, and I thought I heard Attorney Thomason say he was at Kent State when the National Guard came on campus during the Vietnam War protest. Wow. And I think 3 people died at Kent State. That same day, 2 people died at Jackson State. We never heard much about the people at Jackson State, but we did hear about the folks at Kent State. It was kind of one of those touchstone moments in American history. That iconic picture of that young lady standing over her classmate who had just been shot by the National Guard. And when I think about this deployment of the National Guard, and now the National Guard is armed, it was something that Mayor Karen, what's her last name? I can't think of last name. Bash? Is it Bash?
I don't know.
But the mayor of LA said when they deployed the National Guard, then brought in the Marines, she told people, don't react, because that's what they're looking for, that you give them a reason to do some things that will really, really, really be harmful. And I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna chime in on that. Now, with the National Guards and the Marines, well, I know that the Marines are not on the ground yet, but the National Guards.
Well, the Marines were on the ground in LA. Yeah, but I think they quietly pulled them back because what were they there for?
So in Washington, D.C., if you put these guys on the ground, they don't have the power to arrest you. However, they got the power to kill you.
Well, if they got a weapon, they got the power. Yeah, there's certain actions. Now, D.C. is different because D.C. is federally controlled, right? And so unlike where we have sovereignty of states in Wisconsin, Illinois, Maryland, D.C. is a different animal. So he could put the troops on the streets because it's D.C. I think it's going to be challenged in the courts if he puts troops on the streets to try to do law enforcement. There's something called posse comitatus, which says that we cannot use American troops to basically do law enforcement unless martial law has been declared.
Right.
So, and those of us who grew up in 1967s in Milwaukee during the riots realized they declared martial law. That's like curfew.
Yeah.
You suspend certain civil rights, right? So the government has the power then to go in. Him declaring an emergency, and then it's obvious what it is. You know, you're going after blue states. You're going after cities that are run by black leaders. It plays well to the base because as we're focusing in on the crime in Chicago or the crime in Milwaukee, because I just saw that, you know, in terms of crime, Milwaukee's like number 6 in the country. That in spite of the drops. Now, Baltimore is crazy because Baltimore has seen a significant drop in homicides and crime, period. And now you want to put the guard on the streets.
See, well, what even tripped me out about that whole thing? He said in May, and they have him on record saying that crime is down in D.C. And this was just in May when he said it.
And he wasn't interested in putting troops on the streets until that white boy got beat up. And I'm going to say it that way because there have been people who have been victimized by crime. You know, in D.C., it didn't move you, but the Doge dude get carjacked. And now we got an emergency. So a lot of it is distraction, getting us away from things like, you know, the unpopularity, as people now call them, the big ugly bill. This has been the biggest giveaway to billionaires and corporations in the history of this country. You're seeing cuts to Medicaid. You're seeing cuts to other programs. Now it's trying to get the spending bill out, and I wish you know, Congresswoman Moore can talk about it, where you're going to go and and then here's the thing: if you're really concerned about crime, then you do preventative things, and we found that some of these preventative things really work. If you give young people something to do, as opposed to saying you need to be well behaved. Now, look, think about it: they're poor, they're different, they're dealing with all these economic, social disparities. So we can say that usually breeds a certain level of criminality. One has to ask the question how you, Mr. Trump, has come from privilege and yet you out stealing and committing crimes. And then I think that when the whole hypocrisy behind this idea that, you know, he's the chief law enforcement officer. And, you know, so, you know, they mentioned on Michelle's program when they talked about him going after John Bolton, going after Chris Christie. Now, the young lady that was behind Bridgegate is a graduate of Mount St. Mary's University in Emmitsburg, Maryland. How about that? Wow. So it's a distraction. I am alarmed. I try to say some things, are they just trends? You know, it's going to pass. But there's some things that are happening right now. And so if we're not woke, we need to get woke and understand clearly that there's a move afoot in this country. And you always say you hate to say you've never seen it like this before, but we haven't. But, you know, there's a certain level of vigilance that we have to have in terms of pushing back on what we see, you know, happening. It's just wow. I mean, it's wow. And I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to again add to that. With Trump putting the troops on the ground, especially in Chicago, if you get into it with these gangs, it's going to be a gang war, and that's what he's betting on. He's betting on them to go in there, and instead of stop the crime, he wants them to actually kill the crime.
And that's what now I got her name. That's what Mayor Karen Bass was warning against. That if you're out protesting, it can turn into something else. And the brazen hypocrisy in Florida, outside the Pulse nightclub, they did the LGBTQ rainbow in the sidewalk, and the state came in and moved it, right? Just changed it back to black and white. And they said because it'd be a distraction to drivers. Well, have we had any accidents since Pulse? No. The answer is no. But at the same time, you have no problems renaming federal military installations after Confederate leaders. And let's call it what it was. It was insurrection. It was insurrection. The Confederacy was a criminal enterprise. It was illegal.
Yeah.
And that we would come back and, act as if yesterday, I talked about yesterday in my message that you can try to erase history, but January 6th happened. You can try to erase history, but in fact, you were impeached twice. You can try to erase history, but the facts are what the facts are.
And I was about to chime in on that because he's calling citizens of Washington, D.C. thugs, but not one time did he mention in January 6th, those people that stormed the Capitol, not one time did he call them thugs. He said it was a beautiful day of love. Now, you couldn't get the National Guards out when they was doing that, but you want to get the National Guards out for carjacking and a white dude
and
getting
see, it
beat
plays
up?
well to his base because the base has a perception of urban environments, predominantly people of color environments, where they're just out of control. That's not the case. But for people, perception becomes reality. And here's the problem when we try to erase history. And my frustration becomes that the discussions that I have with people where they're talking about your belief ain't facts.
That part.
And so, we got to deal with the facts. We got to deal with the data. You got to look at the numbers. Now, we'll ignore the numbers because our perception becomes, our reality. I heard the chase Saturday that ended up there. Yeah, I heard I was on my porch. I was working on my message. I'm hearing all these sirens. I'm going, whoa, what's that? And then the emergency vehicles. So I heard all of that. Someone asked the question, can the families, because there's another young man who's in hospital right now fighting for his life.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of questions out there. One, this idea of police chases, and we're seeing that in many of these police chases, they end up in an accident, and cases then we have fatalities as it relates to that. And then the dude was able still to get away.
Still got away. And
so then the question becomes, now they said they'll fall back, but how much that started on like 60th and Monarchy.
Yeah.
So it was over by my house because I'm on 65th and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So that becomes a question. But then that becomes the perception, right? And so then people say it's just not safe. We got an issue. I don't know if it's still an issue. Maybe that thing worked with Bishop Block and them going down having service down there and people not going clown. But that's all people need to know. Now, look, we had that shooting in the Deer District.
Yeah.
That ain't stopped people from going to the Bucks game.
At all.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they still sell out. So the perception there sometimes is really not the reality, but then it becomes our reality. And Michelle, thank you for that. How we talk about a problem.
Yeah. Well,
because how we talk about it can then be used to say, okay, and then I'm not making people, you're making excuses.
No.
Not making excuses. No. I'm just saying that if you look at certain numbers, the behavior that you see aligns with the numbers. Always has, always will.
Keith, I think that if we really, really, really want to solve this, these police chases and things like that, I wonder if there's a way that you know, man, that the states or whatever that they can pass a law that every vehicle, if you operate on these roads, would have to be chipped.
No.
And if you
No,
and
it's
if
too
you
much. It's too much.
what I'm just
And they
saying
are
because
chipped.
then though you're
They are chipped.
but if you chip them and with some of these cars with the high speed chases because they you know Kias and Hyundais and all of these cars that's easy to steal, Acuras and things like that. If you have them chipped and it's a high speed chase, you can shut the car down, lock the car door. You'll never worry about
Well,
them
there's
getting
people
away.
who have OnStar that can happen.
Yeah, but you
And
would
I
have to
think that can
contact
happen.
them and
I
go through
drive
that
an
whole thing.
Acura, and I think it can happen if I hook up with Acculate. I'm just saying, but to survey people, you know, we got a lot of big brother in our world right now, and so I'm, and you know, and it's up to people to control their own behavior. You know, I mean
Yeah.
there's still that level of personal responsibility that people have. But you know, it's systemic, man, and it's deeper than we can do all these little band-aids. But if you got a deeper wound there and healing starts from the inside, it works its way out, then what then are those solutions? This administration has no desire. They have no inclination to really solve the problem. In their mind, we're going to go in, we're going to show people that we're tough. You know, I was listening to how they said, oh, how DOJ under Obama and DOJ under Biden, they weaponized it. No, the people that they went after committed crimes. Trump, in fact, did have those boxes. And when they asked him to return the boxes, he refused to return the boxes. And the only reason why he is not, and that's why people said he ran for president, because he knew he was probably as a private citizen going to be convicted of those crimes.
And then he turn around and go after Bolton.
Go after Bolton.
We're
Go
talking
after
about
Chris
holding
Christie.
classified information. The same.
And the problem with Bolton is that Bolton is hated on both the right and the left. So he has no real support.
Yeah.
You know, because people just, you know, you was this little sycophant, then all of a sudden you have this come to Jesus moment,
Right.
and he's the worst person in the world. He's the worst person in the world when you took the job.
Exactly. And you knew that.
And you knew that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that and then Chris Christie is another. I'm just waiting on poor Lindsey Graham to do something where, you know, he can go after him. I don't know if he will. You know, I don't see a lot of profiles in courage. Maybe Mr. Massey out of Kentucky, who don't really care about what Donald Trump can do to him. But he is rare. Most people just don't have, they're more concerned with staying in power. And in some ways, they agree with some of the stuff he's doing. Trust me, there's a level of support in MAGA world for putting troops in urban areas, right? They were talking about fentanyl, but you're not talking about crystal meth, right, in poor rural white communities and the damage that crystal meth is doing in those communities, you know, or the opiates in those communities. So that's great. He don't care about poor people. You know, he cares about people that look like him, that he's assuming is like him, but he don't really care about po folks. He don't care whether you black or white, but he needs those white po folks to vote for him. And so then it gets back to this thing that goes back to Reconstruction. And I can use the word, but I'm only using it in context of the point I'm getting ready to make. So white folks in the South, in rural areas, lived as bad as black folks in the South. But what the leadership would say to those poor white folks was, at least you're not a nigga. And for some folks, that's solace, right? Okay, that's almost like a bomb for them. But you're still poor. You're still dealing with health disparities. We found it out during COVID. How many white Mississippians who were in poor health were really victimized by COVID, and then their denial of facts, their denial of science, put themselves in the hospital, and now they're saying, is there anything you can do? And they're going, no, there's nothing we can do. You know, so people being manipulated, as they say, they pimp your feelings. You get all these things, and it's about feelings, about fear, your fear being replaced. We have a crisis, not just among black men, but we have a crisis among white men, right? And so we're dealing with that particular crisis. And at some point, somebody's gonna wake up, but you can wake up too late. Now, when Noah said that, y'all might want to get right because it's gonna rain,
Let's go, man.
the reaction of people was, well, it ain't raining now.
Yeah.
And then it rained. That's a metaphor. Just so people clear, that's a metaphor. That probably didn't happen. But anyway, okay. You're listening to Community Voice. It is Monday. Well, on Monday. Like you just said,
Yep.
somebody, because but there's application. But man, it was looking at, all over. Right? But when you look at the other kids that play the field, that's on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got some talent in terms of good. All right, you're listening to this quick break. We'll be right back. Let me make an announcement. Join us for a back to school event. Get a backpack filled with school supplies while they last, and help build your students' money confidence to start the new school year. That'll be held Wednesday, August 27th from 12:30 to 3:30 at the Chase Bank, 210 West Capitol Drive in Milwaukee. Again, there will be a book bag giveaway on Wednesday, August 27th from 12:30 to 3:30 at Chase Bank, 210 West Capitol Drive. And so if you have young people out there need book bags, boy, there if I can't say anything else, there are more than enough book bags out there for folks. They were doing a big book bag giveaway Saturday at Ascension. So again, that'll Chase Bank is doing a book bag giveaway on Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. We're joined in studio by State Senator Dora Drake. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
How
morning.
are you?
I'm doing good.
How
How
was
about
your-
you?
Good. How was your weekend?
It was good, but busy. I'm a little tired. So Alderman
Busy?
Mark Chambers, well, always busy, but no, Alderman Mark Chambers just had his back to school event yesterday as well.
Where was
So
his?
it was at the People Indigenous Park. So there was a good number of folks 'cause I helped with registration
I didn't realize.
yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had bounce houses, they had corn, burgers, hot dogs, book bags, the bikes, the whole
his
nine.
district then abuts Charlotte Moore's district.
Yes, this was, but the park you're thinking of, it's literally just south of Hampton Avenue. So if you're coming down 60th and Hampton,
Okay.
that park in that neighborhood there,
Oh, okay.
by the Onyx Cafe.
Used to be Wall Park.
I think so. Yep, it used to be Walmart.
Is that used to be?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought that was Tubman.
I couldn't
don't
tell you. No, but otherwise, I'm good. We're not in session yet with the state legislature, but we will be back, I think, the next couple of weeks. So we're trying to enjoy the summer while it lasts. But also have some exciting news that the Legislative Black Caucus has been working on. So as chairwoman of the Legislative Black Caucus, we, are small number, but still mighty in what we want to stand for. And given what's been happening nationally, right, we know that with the big ugly bill, there are going to be cuts to Medicaid, health insurance, SNAP benefits, things of that nature, and also some of the other things that are happening in our own state legislature due to what's happened with the budget. We thought it was important to ensure that there was a space for Black Wisconsinites to say, look, these are the issues that we care about, and they're not just unique to ourselves. The issues that we deal with actually uplift everyone in the state. And so that's why we launched our listening town hall sessions throughout the whole state of Wisconsin. So in that way, we can truly hear from everybody their concerns, whether it was about the state budget, issues that maybe we aren't privy to, and really build out what policy agenda would be for Black Wisconsinites coming the next year. And so those are things that we are working on. We announced it yesterday, and want to talk a little bit more about the issues that are impacting folks.
So when you talk about, I wonder, this is statewide.
Yes.
So I know Democratic legislators are going out doing town hall. I know some of the Republicans are avoiding it. So I guess my question is, just anecdotally, do you see where there's a growing voter regret, say buyer regret, in terms of now, one of the interesting, there's another dollar. The big ugly bill, some of its more onerous negative effects won't take effect until after the midterms.
Exactly.
So people won't feel it until 2027, I'm thinking,
Right.
when you look at that. But it just seems, just from the tapes that we're getting from all over the country, particularly in red districts, there's a level of dissatisfaction out there based on what's going on. And we're only 7-8 months in.
And I would agree with you on that. And I think more so, we know that we've always known this, but Milwaukee voters, Black voters have always been the foundation for Democratic votes in our state, and we had the highest number in the state. With that being said, there was still a national lower voter turnout amongst us, and I think part of that is, Black voters are disillusioned.
Well in Milwaukee, though.
You said what?
We did extremely well.
No,
in
exactly.
Milwaukee.
That's what I was saying. We did extremely well. But at least from the conversations I've heard, people are, I wouldn't blame them for feeling disillusioned for what has happened, right? We put all this effort out to pushing what we thought would be best for our community and this country and our state. And this is what we're dealing with now. And so I do think there's a sentiment of Black voters saying, okay, look, we've, done our part. We want to see some results, from the things that we have put our vote behind. And I believe that these town halls that we're having answers to the call of that, to say, look, we know that we could be doing better. And I agree with that. And to your point about the dissatisfaction nationwide, I think that is there, but I don't know if people necessarily have the courage to pull the plug yet when it comes to midterm elections. The other thing too that I wanted to mention, because you mentioned some of the things in the big ugly bill, we won't see the impacts until after the midterms, but we will see the impacts of tariffs though. And what I continue here is just the cost of living has increased, right? And I think that is just your basic bread and butter stuff that every family, every individual is like, look, I'm just trying to make sure I keep a roof over my head, I get food, I can make sure if I'm have a family, I could get them to school, my kids to school, or even childcare. And some of those issues are things that the state can be doing now. In the state budget, we did have one of the highest increases for childcare, as well as some things in education. However, some of the pushbacks that other folks have, the reason why I voted against it was I didn't think there was enough funding, right? Because with childcare, I believe for one parent household, average income was around like 71K, right? But it will require 2/3 of someone's income just to provide for childcare.
Now, when you talk about child care,
Mhm.
is that over and beyond people who would be TANF eligible? We're talking about, so when you say child care, is it
This
a
is just in
credit?
general.
Is it no, when I'm asking in terms of money allocated, you said there was money allocated.
Yes. So
how is that money? Is it a tax credit?
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's, if I remember correctly, it's part tax credit, but it's actually direct payments to childcare providers. So we were able to get some of those funding still to ensure that the doors didn't close. Is because if we didn't have any direct payments to our childcare providers, then we were going to see over half of our childcare centers shut down. So we have that number there, which is great, but it's only for a certain allotted time. So there's still this looming deadline, so to speak, that if we don't find something that's more robust, we can, we need to address it.
It's not an issue of not an issue of not having the money, because I don't know what is the surplus now.
Oh, wait, that's a good question. I'd have to get back to you on that because it's been a minute since I've looked at the numbers.
So it's not and I guess for people who are doing TANF, eligible for child care, because I don't know how much the state puts in terms of its portion.
Right. So the state puts a good chunk of portion into TANF, but we got a lot of our funding from federal dollars.
Right.
And I know a little bit more just about like our Medicaid, program. That was something that, at least just in Milwaukee alone, the majority of individuals that are on Medicaid in our state reside here, right? And so that's folks that are disabled, veterans, you name it. And in our state budget, we covered, I want to say 40%, 60% of the funding. And so, but with the 40% that we would have been getting from the feds, that's over $1 billion, right? And so we're just talking about Medicaid access to healthcare alone. That's something that in 3 years that we are going to have to answer the hard question: what does the state do about it?
We and part of I'm sure when you have your listening sessions, you're going to be in areas that was hit hard by the flooding.
Yes.
We do not know if the president is going to declare a disaster. And so, would the state, if the federal government is not going to step in, does the state have the resources or the willingness to step in to help people? Because it's not
Yeah,
just in Milwaukee. I mean,
it's
we had
every.
Waukesha.
Mhm.
This was a 1,000-year storm.
It was. And to your credit, obviously we're hopeful, right, that we would get FEMA funding. If we don't, so unfortunately, the state has a program where it can support or give funds to municipalities, but we don't have anything for direct relief. That was something when, the flood hit. I had personal conversations with the governor's office and other stakeholders on like what can we do, and that was something that they would have loved to create a disaster relief fund directly for individuals, and that's something that's been stripped out of the budget time to time. Now, given who was all impacted, I would hope that there's a real appetite for it because even the conversations I've had, I think there is a general consensus that something has to be done if, the president doesn't step in.
Do you think, in terms of what we learn, and a lot of times we don't necessarily learn from our lived experience, that going forward, we understand that it looks like FEMA is being dismantled? So would the state of Wisconsin, in her own self-interest, begin to set aside funds for disasters?
I think we should. And honestly, it's been something that I know I've personally been talking about, just saying, hey, here's some things that we should just have a cushion, so to speak, should these things happen. It's one of the reasons why I was pushing to get increased funding for food security. Regardless of how you feel about the pick and safes closing, it's still the case of people deserve to have food, right? Health access to healthy food. And so we were able to get $10 million of grant funds for food security programs, 5 million, each year. With that being said, that's only a start. I would say that's far from addressing it. And the other thing too, because it ties into SNAP, um, the programs that are also being cut, to your point, impact not just Milwaukee, it impacts our rural areas. And even if you just talk about the issues of food, um, they, how do I want to say it? They are struggling to even get food day in and day out there as well. And so there are issues that we can say, look, this shouldn't have to be partisan. We know what the issues are. Let's just do the political willpower to get it done. And I think given what's happened with the flooding in this area, because now there's infrastructure issues that we have to address with housing, I, I would hope that there's a real willpower to do that. And that's part of why we want to have these town halls too, because maybe there are issues that we just aren't aware of, right? So the town halls are in Milwaukee, Racine, Madison, and Green Bay. And we know that even though Milwaukee and Madison have the largest number of Black individuals in our state, there are still pockets, of Black Wisconsinites that might have unique perspectives that can add to what we can be what we can be doing collectively here in our state.
So when will the town hall happen in Milwaukee?
Yeah, so the one in Milwaukee will happen on October 2nd. We're finalizing the logistics of where and when they'll take place. But the first, the town halls, the first one is Green Bay, September 15th. September 16th is Racine. Madison is September 22nd, and then October 2nd for Milwaukee. And so when we have additional details, we will be posting that. People can also go to the Wisconsin Legislative Black Caucus website for our state. And if any other questions, they can always reach out to my office to get additional details as well.
When do you all go back into session?
We go back into session, I think, after Labor Day, because I know that I have Judiciary and Public Safety, as well as the Health Committee, is meeting that first week after Labor Day.
I did ask you if you were running for governor.
You did.
Answer.
And my answer that I'll repeat again is, if I'm this busy working on these listening sessions, I think I got my hands tied here. But no, I know that there's a lot of great folks that have already either announced or interested in running for governor. And I do think that it's imperative that with the governors, these conversations is more than just say these are the issues that we care about. I think that every candidate that's running should have an answer to the solution to the issues that we as Black Wisconsiners are facing.
I agree with you. A quick question
Mhm.
in terms of your
Yes.
how impacted were you?
No phone numbers.
You have a nine,
Pardon?
you have a nine,
I hold on.
part-
Yeah, it was automatic loan. I did some visits and went to restriction of the basement, no cleaners, no heater, no hot water. And that's been it's been devastating to see. And so I really do think there is all to care about all the movies we do, ensure that we focus on issues and basic needs, access to opportunity, whether it's a job or a business, shelter, making sure kids are getting books. Um, it that's one thing that we can do our school, but also going to be able to
Say some of the words. Thank you.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Okay. It's a community voice. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
You're inside Community Voice, UNLV AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice again. The phone line's open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Well, tomorrow's cut down day.
Yeah.
NFL.
So what is it? 54-man roster?
53.
53-man roster.
Just reading this morning that it looks like Shadir is going to make the 53-man roster.
So they're going to carry 4 quarterbacks?
They're carrying 4 quarterbacks, and they just cut a quarterback. So
who?
Tyler Huntley. Yeah.
Tyler Huntley?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what the Packers had a few years ago.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. What's that? Brent Huntley?
No.
Yeah,
Brent, but we
Brent.
had that's Tyler Huntley was the one that they cut. So
Brent.
I tell y'all, man, the numbers matter. You get your feelings, but the numbers matter. And I was reading an article this morning where this guy basically looked at the tape, analyzed the tape, and went down. There were 8 plays that he analyzed at Shadir, because I did tape it. Now again, they talked about the 5 dudes that blocked for him on Saturday. They ain't with the team anymore. They all got cut. So
yeah, I was about to say, man, I think,
but they were still saying, and I've been saying this. I watched him at Jackson
he held the
State.
ball too long.
He holds the ball too long, and then he wants to make spectacular plays. Now, he has said, much to his credit, he's going to learn, and he's going to work hard. And then when you think about his 2 wide receivers, both first rounders, right?
Yeah.
Playing with that level of talent. But I said in college, he held the ball too long. He has a hitch. They compared him to Gabriel, where they said that Gabriel was better reading and not reacting, but the ball got out on time. Yeah. You hear that a lot in football. The ball got out on time.
Now, Gabriel did look good.
Yeah.
He did look
good.
Now,
the first game he didn't, because I think he had, two
interceptions.
2 interceptions.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that whole – the mechanics are real important, unless you're Brett Favre, unless you're Aaron Rodgers, where you just have this $6 million arm, right? That you can do it. Shadir Sanders does not have that arm, and so I think if he gets to the point where stay in the pocket, stay focused, and get the ball out on time. You can't think. You got to know.
Yeah, you got to know.
You got to know. You just can't be, because in football, if you're thinking too much, you're going to get hurt.
And you're going to throw interceptions from the ball, because you're thinking, should I go here? Should I do this? Should I run? I was watching the game on Saturday, and at first I was thinking, are they trying to make him look bad? Because how they was breaking through that line and getting at him was. But then I thought about too, like, yeah, these are like 3rd stringers.
These dudes ain't gonna be there. They ain't making the roster.
Yeah, so how they got at him was okay. But
now when he played with, I think they estimated that when he played the game, was it the first game? 3 or 4 of those guys made the roster. So it's the talent. And look, y'all, I said talent matters. And if you look at in the league and you look at college football, one of the reasons why I watch the SEC on Saturdays is because many of those dudes going to be playing on Sunday. Yeah. The Big Ten, many of those dudes going to be playing on Sunday. Yeah. Not so much with the Big 12. Yeah. That level of talent. And then when you get in the NFL, where everybody's good. Yeah. It's like in the NBA. Like if the 15th man on an NBA squad is a pro. Yeah. They're good. Yeah. You think, I could play better than Finassus. No, you can't. They're pros, man. So yeah, he's okay. Now his brother, well.
Yeah, I think
I always saw coaching in his future.
I think that I think he's going to go somewhere and really get the opportunity. And Tampa
But
Bay
I
is
would
going to regret it.
watch Tim, and I'm look. If he had really performed well, they ain't gonna cut him, right? They felt like they could release him. I could tell you in college, he always, first of all, he only weighed like maybe 195, 200 pounds.
Yeah,
But he always wanted to bring the wood.
yeah,
Part of him wanting to bring the wood was he didn't wrap up tackles.
yeah.
So he had so many missed tackles in college. And I don't know if he cleaned that up by the time he got to the pros in terms of that technique. But he was so busy trying to be Jack Tatum. And a couple of times he almost knocked himself out the game because that, but he didn't wrap up on the tackle. His technique wasn't good. He doesn't necessarily have foot speed. So I even said this when he was in college, he's probably going to be coaching because I think he played safety, which means, you know, you're the quarterback on defense. Everybody talks, but it's the safety.
Yeah.
And so I see I wasn't.
See, but they can sign him to the practice squad.
Yeah.
They can, they can bring him back.
No, I don't think, because I think the punch was, and then who his name was.
Of course.
I think that, there's a target on your back. And that's the other thing, to be able to, control your emotions.
See, but I mean, you would think that even in the preseason game that you wouldn't get punished for that.
Oh, man, when they have to make some decisions, maybe if it was the first preseason game, this was the last preseason game.
Yeah, but that sounds like, they was waiting for anything to happen.
Well, if you know that, then don't give them a reason.
Yeah.
Don't give them a reason.
And that's what I had to learn in life. Don't give them a reason to say anything. So
never give
be
your
on
enemies
time, be be ready to go to when you're there.
Right.
Don't give them room
do
to
what they
say
do what
nothing.
you're asked to do.
Yep.
And as Bill Belichick said, do your job.
Do your job. Yeah.
And show up on time. Yeah. Sometimes we have that was my problem in high school. I had an outside assessment of my talent level. And there were some other things going on, like work ethic. And now look, there was nobody who worked harder in practice than I did. There's nobody who played harder than I did. Yeah. But over and beyond practice is what you're doing away from that, the discipline that you have to develop. Now, to getting on time, that was never an issue for me. And I learned it the hard way because my senior year, we were going to go play Beloit Memorial, and we got late. We got to the school late. We missed the bus. And so the assistant coach had to drive me and my teammate down to Beloit. And after that, I said, never again.
Yeah.
Always going to be on time. And I think in life, it drives me nuts. Here's my little pet peeve. I know people do things and they say, like people just be arriving late. That's why so many people miss the Underground Railroad. Be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be. And if you're on time, per Vince Lombardi, you're late.
Yeah.
If you're on time, you're late. You need to be there prior to practice, ready to go. Same thing at work. If I'm walking in the door at 8:00, I'm late.
Yeah.
Because most work rules say you have to be at your desk prepared to work at the beginning of your shift.
Yeah.
And so but it's a mentality that people have. I don't like this starting late. We start on time. And if they're there, there's a guy, won't call his name, everybody knows him, good dude. And he had a little community group he put together. And I remember one of our friends was saying, oh boy, rehearsal started at 4:00. He starts devotion by himself at 4:00.
Yeah.
You got to be the embodiment of what you expect from people.
Yeah.
If you're the leader,
that's
the thing. You got to be early, and then you're going to be leaving late because you're the leader. So being able to start on time. Look, the most valuable thing God gives us after breath is time.
Yeah.
And how much time we waste. And look, I procrastinate, all those things. But the usage of time becomes so important. And it's really disrespectful for the people who did everything they could to get there on time. And now, you kind of sauntering in when you're sauntering in, and here we go. No. Start on time, man. If we start on time, we can end on time. you know, and that's the other thing. And another thing. Yeah, stop wasting time when we're doing what we need to do. Again, another one of my pet peeves. I was mindful when I was over at Holy Redeemer, who the expectation that Bishop Daniels had in terms of starting on time, and being appropriate. I fully embrace it. I fully endorse it, man. So that's my little pet peeve. Oh boy, them Brewers. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I would rather them, get all the losing out now, and then pick back up.
They only up
September.
5.
Yeah,
still best record in baseball, but they up 5 because
Yeah.
Cubs won yesterday. They lost.
Yeah, so I think that
And San Francisco has been like the worst team in August, and you lose to them.
Well, we almost had that game to the top of the ninth, man.
We should be almost having the game with them. We should be,
blowing them out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder what's happening with the pitching. And Woodruff goes tonight.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the bullpen. They gave up home runs, man. Because that first game, Willie Adames, welcome home.
Yeah.
Hit 2.
Yeah.
Hit
yeah,
2.
Man. I think that go ahead and get all this losing stuff out the way. So then, because playoff starts at the end of September, right? So it's like in 4 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you look at that whole thing, go ahead and get it out the way. Stay on top, though. And then pick back up the winning ways in the middle part of the month. And then,
this month has really blown by because football season starts next Thursday.
Well, the college football season already started. Saturday,
yeah. They who did I watch?
I watched
North
Kansas
Carolina.
State.
Did you see North Carolina Central and Southern?
No, I saw Iowa State
North
and
Carolina.
Kansas.
They might have lost the battle of the bands.
Yeah.
But they showed they whoop them on the football field. They was wearing them out. They were definitely wearing them out. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. I was just wondering, what are you all thinking about this? And again, how we talk about an issue. And I'm not saying be careful, but just be mindful how we talk about the issue. But this idea of police pursuits. And, I know you got on the one side, if we don't do a pursuit, then you're telling people who are up to no good that, the law won't be enforced. But the question is that worth the collateral damage that we're seeing in terms of people who might lose their lives because of police chase? We saw it happen on the east side.
Yeah.
We just saw it again by my house on 51st and Center.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious.
Man, I think that if they come up with a system that they can alert people, like say if there's a high-speed chase on 60th and Center, and if the chase is going northbound, whatever area is northbound in that area, then maybe they can do something with the street lights and let people know, man, that the cars is coming or something.
It's moving at an incredible speed. You're something. Say, I am more mindful in my driving than I've ever been in my whole life. I don't assume that just because I had the green light that I'm gonna get through that intersection.
Yeah.
Because I see people all the time either trying to blow by.
Yeah.
Forget red lights.
If you educate the public and let them know, hey, this is what this means. So when you start seeing the lights blinking and there's lights on top of the pole that's letting you know there's a high-speed chase in your area, you'll be more conscious.
Well, I think that mitigation that you're seeing is having impact in terms. I'm talking about just traffic and how traffic is moving.
Yeah,
it slows everybody down.
Yeah,
I see dudes trying to come up like, "Oh man, keep going because you can hit that thing. You're gonna tear up your car."
Yeah,
so keep going. Call it. That's why you're not supposed to pass on the right
exactly.
Anyway. Call it. Welcome to the program.
On the left.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I remember Chief Flynn when he started a lot of this ruckus right before he went out of office. He said he wasn't going to chase anybody on public television, and it got so bad. And it's still these are the remnants of what he had done. I talked to a few police officers that on the force, and they said that was the worst thing a person could have done. But
what was that? What repeat?
What Chief Flynn said, he was not going to chase none of these guys out here or whatever. You know, he wasn't going to do it anymore. And it cost. If you go back and look at it, right before he went out of office. But now, you know, it's coming out of our homes. A lot of these parents know that their children have this. I got a cousin, and his grandson is out here, and I seen his grandson the other day, and I approached him. He took off. And but what to do? We got to start it at home, man. That's just the bottom line. It got to start at home.
Well, what about but some of these pursuits are not teenagers. These are grown ass people.
And you're 110% right on it. And these grown guys out here acting like children. That only thing they're going to do 9 times out of 10 is get a ticket. You know, if they get a ticket for the stop.
But is it worth the loss of life? I guess that's what I'm getting.
No, it's not worth the loss of life is wrong. It's not cool. But we got to keep our police officers, hold them up, because at the end of the day, some of these guys are so dangerous. They don't care. And I hate to see somebody get innocently hurt. But we got to find a way. We do honestly got to find a way to stop this thing before, you know, because it got too far out of hand.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and then it's like trends, you know, like you're not hearing about the Kia boys now, right? That was a trend, and so now we're getting into people who, and look, we've always had people. As long as we've had cars, we've had people who try to get away from the police. I just think there's some different dynamics in an urban environment where it is more contained, and you because coming down Center Street is only 2 lanes. You know, now, you know what I'm saying. So, and I just drove by the crash site this morning, and you know there was still some remnants out there where you can see some broken glass and some parts of the car that was there. But the dude that got hit, like the Uber driver, you know, you figuring, okay, and if a car is traveling 60, 70 miles an hour in the city, my reaction time has been diminished, right? Because this car gets up on me so quickly.
Okay, let's say this area here where I have a business on Fano. It's so terrible. You cars literally going down Fond du Lac Avenue doing 80, 90 miles an hour. And between North Avenue and 27th, you know, they doing literally, I mean, and there's a couple stop and go like this. Yeah. And they literally go down the street. You could, a few times a week, you will get 80, 90 miles an hour. And we got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, we got. I'm asking the question because, you know, in within a month, we've had. We've had right, and so then, you know, and again, when you look at death, someone had asked me yesterday, can you sue the city? And the answer to that question is yes. You can make a claim. You can sue the city. But there's a couple of things, factors there, and it's a really high bar. Is one, you have qualified immunity for the police officer, and then the governmental agency has sovereign immunity, and so you're going to have to either show negligence. You're going to have to show that there's
on the police officer's part, right?
Right. You're going to have to show that it was a flawed policy. You know, so it's a real high bar.
We're already dealing with a shortage of officers out here as we speak. And a lot of these things is that dealing with such a shortage, and that's another factor that we dealing with a shortage as we're dealing with now is one of the reasons why it is such bad, because there's not enough police presence. So if they used to not seeing the police officers, they feel like they can do what they want to do. Okay? So at the end of the day, we as a people, black people, got to get our young folks and our young adult and our adults, because there is 30, 40-year-old people running around here driving. I'm gonna tell you this here, and I'm gonna let you go. I was on 12th and North Avenue. A guy almost ran me off the road, and then he ran the next light, and the guy had to lay down his motorcycle, and so I cruised behind him, and he noticed me, and he kept going. We got his plate number. Ended up being a 78-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And see, and I think now some things like in DC, the issue of carjacking really is a young person's problem or young person's situation, because they realize they're not getting a lot of time for it. So, right. The question becomes, and I know that there were people on the DC council saying we need to make the laws stronger when we deal with teenagers, but then we're going like, oh, but they're teenagers. So then you got to balance that little piece in terms of, what do you do? But I could tell you something else out here. This whole distracted driving when people are looking at their phones. This car was coming over and I looked over, and hell, she up here looking at her phone, and she wasn't young. So I hear you, man.
Thank you, sir.
414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Yeah, what we discover is that there are not always a lot of easy solutions. You can do something over here, but then it's going to have impact over here. But when you're seeing, and again, the perception becomes our reality, where we've had just 2 in the last month where, innocent people were killed because of a police pursuit. Now, it's also the person who is the object of the pursuit. And people say, well, hell, you could sue them. Yeah, well, chances are, 1, they ain't got no insurance, and 2, they ain't got no assets that you can attach even if you were successful. So
is there any way, man, that you can go after their family?
Come on, man. Family ain't got no money. That's what makes it even more daunting. Maybe if I'm in another area where people are highly, they have their requisite insurance, you can go after them. But people, man, they'll drive without insurance. They drive without license.
Yeah, that part.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Keith. Good morning, everybody in the studio.
Good morning.
Hey, Saturday morning, I live in the neighborhood of 60th and Capitol, and so in the turn lane, these people were going east on Capitol, and on 60th Street, I heard a lot of sirens. And I seen a lot of cars being detoured past my house, so I walked around there. So there was some younger men that was driving. Obviously, these people were waiting to turn left, or they were at a stoplight. This car was going so fast until it ran into car number 1 and pushed car number 1 into car number 2, and all these cars were totaled out. And the people that was in the car that did the damage, they got out and ran. And I asked the officer about the situation. He said that people got out and ran. They were pursuing them through the neighborhood, and they did catch them. And these people were the person that was driving. He was the owner of the car, and the reason why he ran into these people at probably 40 miles an hour is because he was on his phone. I'm gonna send you that. I'm gonna send you that picture, Keith, so you can take a look at it. I took some pictures.
All right. My thing is, and this is just a general assessment. I think as human beings, we need to understand we're not the only people on the planet. And we become so self-absorbed in our own behavior that we don't think that our behavior is going to have impact on anybody else. And it does. And so I have to be more mindful, because there's times I deal with distracted driving, so it's people losing their lives, and so that's what makes it, for that family out there now who's going to have to figure out. And then again, this young man who's currently in the hospital right now fighting for his life. I was telling Jermaine, I don't just drive through, even though I might have the right of way. I'm looking left and right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because a car can get up on you.
Yeah, quick.
So fast.
Yeah.
You still assume, oh, I got the light.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's not necessarily the case. So I mean, it's challenging.
Man, I actually, when I'm at the lights, I do like a 10-second count off before I drive off. So once the lights turn green, I'd start my 10-second count. And I found myself doing that because I was almost in a situation that I didn't see the car flying through the red light.
Mm-hmm.
The light turned green. I was getting ready to go, and I stopped. And as I stopped, the car was zoom. And I'm thinking like, whoa. So that right there caused me to count down before I pull off.
All right. You're listening to Community Voice. The phone lines are open 414-444-5250. 444-5250. I'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Well, you think about former athletes and how when they're no longer playing. Now, some of them are tripping when they're playing, but former NBA star Sean Kemp was sentenced Friday to 30 days of electronic home monitoring for shooting at two men inside a vehicle in a Washington State mall parking lot.
What?
Yeah.
Sean Kemp?
Sean Kemp.
Seattle Supersonics.
Well, he need to be out working because all those kids he got child support for.
Jesus.
Let's see. Prosecutors have recommended the six-time NBA All-Star be sentenced to 9 months in jail, a year of supervision, and pay restitution. Judge Michael Schwartz of the Pierce County Superior Court found that the circumstances surrounding the crime warranted a lesser sentence, allowing Kemp to avoid incarceration. Yeah, so he looked at the ceiling, read more. Okay. Who played? Okay. So this happened in March 2023. Kemp said he was acting in self-defense during a March 2023 shooting. Defense claimed that the two men Kemp shot at provoked the incident by stealing Kemp's truck, his cell phone, and memorabilia.
Wow.
Using the phone tracking app, Kemp located and briefly tried to talk to the driver of the 4Runner that was circling a casino parking lot, according to the trial brief. The man in the vehicle afterwards dumped some of Kemp's belongings, but hung on to the phone, the brief said. Kemp later saw his phone near the Tacoma Mall. He drove there, spotted the same 4Runner, and expressed his understandable frustration with the driver, according to the brief. The man in the back seat fired off a round from a handgun at Kemp. Mr. Kemp returned fire, attempting to disable the Toyota. It did not work, the document said. The 4Runner fled, and when the vehicle was found abandoned days later, an empty holster was found inside, but there was no gun. After the hearing, Kemp said in an interview, the last 3 years have been tough. He says he plans to be an advocate against gun violence, especially among youth. You need to be talking to people in your age group. Several people sent letters of support, including his pastor and former NFL star Marshawn Lynch. Kemp debuted in the NBA during the 1989-90 season as a 20-year-old who had never played college basketball. He also played at Cleveland, Portland, Orlando, was known for his high flying. He did have some beautiful dunks.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he had some beautiful dunks.
He was a monster.
Wow. And he now has 2 licensed cannabis stores in Seattle. So part of probation is they drug test you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he'd be all right.
Yeah, if he ain't using it.
Well, no, but if it's legal.
Yeah, if it's legal, though, you can't. Still, I mean, alcohol is legal, too, but you can't have it.
Okay, all right. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
All right. So what was his nickname?
Sean Kemp was... No, Kenny Walker was the flying...
he was Skywalker.
Skywalker.
Yeah. Kenny Skywalker.
Yeah. So whatever happened to Kenny Skywalker?
I don't know, man.
And he really wasn't a good player. He could just dunk.
Well, there was a lot of people, all they could do was dunk. Larry Nance.
Well, Larry Nance had a post game.
Yeah, he did have that nice little turnaround.
Yeah, him and Brad Daugherty. Yeah, Larry Nance. Hey, but that was the first 1-2 punch, man.
He was the Rain Man.
The Rain Man, yeah. But Brad Daugherty and Larry Nance, man, they was the first 1-2 punch of the big Twin Towers. Yep, man, they had a squad.
Ron Harper was on that team.
They had a squad, man.
Yeah. Wasn't Cadillac with them for a while?
Cadillac Williams. He sucked. Cadillac Williams.
No, Cadillac Williams wasn't bad.
No, because he had ended up playing for the Bucks.
Yeah.
The Bucks ended up getting him. He was trash. Cadillac Williams. I remember his big head self. He was trash.
He used to get his hair cut at the same barbershop.
Man, he needed to get his head cut. His head was huge. He had a boulder head.
Well, Sean Kemp, we haven't heard anything about the Bees, so we don't know whether or not. I don't know if a team is even going to pick him up, even if he does get cleared.
Who?
Malik Beasley.
No. I think he's going to. I think this year. Well, first of all, it messed his money up because he was in line to get the payday after all of that, and you mess your money up gambling. Like he was in line to get the big millions. Like he was about to get the big contract.
you know, Cleveland's up and coming team. They're gonna make a run in the playoffs this year, I think.
So you think Cleveland gonna sign him?
I don't know if anybody's gonna sign him.
I mean,
it depends
he's
on what happens. Yeah, but he's not like a dude where you go like, oh man, he'd be gone for 4 weeks, but we can wait on him. He ain't that kind of talent.
Yeah.
You know, caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Parris.
Good morning, Christopher.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum to you, brothers.
Yep.
Listening to your conversation about police chases, high-speed chases, and the destruction that they contribute to or may even cause. And I wanted to tie that into my situation about my vehicle.
We still on that vehicle, man? I thought that was
Yes, sir.
resolved.
Still on that vehicle. No,
you
sir.
still ain't got it back?
No, I haven't. I'm trying to talk to a judge and see if there's anything that can be done, because the law that they scripted or that they wrote that was supposed to be used to confiscate vehicles of reckless drivers or people who are contributing to the chaos in the community is now being used to actually confiscate the property of just about anybody, no matter what the infraction is. If your car breaks down, maybe for a few minutes or something like that, you may not get the opportunity to call AAA, I mean. And if your car is parked in front of your house and the air might go out of the tires, you might forget to go put more air in the tires, because a parking enforcement person told me this Saturday. You can't have deflated tires on your car,
right,
or on the street, right, for over 3 days or something like that.
Right.
So they'll come and take it. But ultimately, what I'm talking about is that when you make a law or you script a law, because when I call in and talk about our situation as Black people, I'm always told not not broad brush or be all encompassing. But this law that they use to supposedly go after reckless drivers, I don't think they're actually using it for that. I think that now that the parking enforcers know that law exists, if you rub them the wrong way, they'll probably call one of their buddies who they work with, and then they'll set up a sting to take your property from you. Because you know how Black people is.
What year? Man, what year is this car? What is the year? What year? What model is this car?
The year that it's not the year that I bought it.
How old is it?
The point of it is that it's my property. I worked for it. I did not obtain it by illegal means.
But how old is the car?
It's a 2000 and something. So it's in the 2000s.
You don't even know.
But the point of it all is that it's my property. I worked for it.
Yeah.
I stood in a basement.
Was it registered, Christopher?
Yes. Well, it had been, but the thing of it all is that, see, this is and I'll admit my shortcoming or infraction. I forgot, and I didn't take it. I didn't understand, or I didn't really take it into consideration that I should have my car registered that I really wasn't using. So I just left it and I drove the other car. But that was me being negligent, not being disrespectful or inconsiderate of the law.
Isn't that violation of the law?
Yeah, that's violation of the law.
That's right. So that's what I'm saying. A minor thing on your behalf.
In America above the law?
Your president is. He's the one.
The orange guy
in the Oval Office.
The orange guy.
And that man is above the law.
After him, is there anybody above the law?
Well,
his friends, Rubio, whatever the hell his name is, all the rest of them. All of them racist Caucasoids who's sitting around a table with a body of Black people, and they got knives and forks ready to dig in.
Okay.
That's what they're doing.
So are you going to be able to get the car? And if you do get the car, are you going to register the car?
First, I have to register it first. So that has to be done first. So that will be done. I don't have a problem with it. It's just that I don't like it when I have owned something and then you are trying to convince me that it belongs to you.
Well, Chris,
it don't rock like that.
Well, I mean, honestly, Christopher, if
honestly, this is what I want to say to you. Go ahead. I gotta say this to you.
Yeah, because I want to say this to you first.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
You got to get your car registered. Don't worry about how I say words. Like, you got to get your car because your car gonna cost you. It's gonna every day, man, that is sitting. It's gonna cost. So what is it like 200?
I know how to calculate.
So what is it like?
Remember,
200 something a day.
Calculate.
Hey, listen. Anyway, I got my vehicle, and
I have another vehicle. I'm driving.
I got all my vehicles, and
that's fine.
But here's
just what I wanted to say. Can I say this? Can I say this to you?
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Here's a big pet peeve of mine. I don't know if this is for anybody else, but when you speak to me and you lead off by saying, to be honest, I'm gonna presumptuously consider you to be a liar.
Oh well, hey, you can look at it like that. If you
provide a disclaimer to tell the truth, I'm gonna think that you are usually
sometimes
lying.
you have to do that disclaimer.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have to do that disclaimer.
And chips fall where they met.
Okay.
All right. Well, to be honest, you're gonna be paying $1,000 to get your car back.
There you go, lying again. How you know that?
Well, but I'm doing some math over here. It is adding up, man. Can I use a big word for you? Hello? Oh, you hung up? Yeah, it is aggregating.
Festivity.
Yeah, but it is growing every day. The cost of that car that you're not even driving. I mean, is it a classic? I mean,
Doc, he's gonna be paying $1 million for this 1976 Pacer.
On GP. Well, you can get blue plates for that Pacer.
At least get something.
You get blue plates because that's last century. You get blue plates. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, yo.
What's happening?
I just wanted to say something. I don't watch this program, but I was watching Morning Joe the other day, and they were saying something about Donald Trump. So I turned on South Park. If you haven't seen South Park.
Oh, my God. Hilarious.
When they went on Washington, D.C.
I seen that. That was hilarious, dude.
Man, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Even the devil was trying to get away from 45.
Hey, and Trump is mad at those creators, man. Though he's mad at those guys for creating that show because they had punched back with that.
They talked about how many views that program got.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Hilarious.
Did you watch the feed?
No, because I'm not a big South Park fan. I
like
Trey Parker, but I'm not. I did see some of the clips from it.
But I had to watch it that day, and it was hilarious, man. So if you haven't seen it, the devil trying to get away from me. So that you got to be real bad. The devil trying to get away from you bad.
Yeah, or you so bad you can't even get in the hell.
You can't even get in the hell.
You can't even get in the hell. That's just how bad you are. Like. Ooh, we don't have a place for you down here.
This is what I wanted to tell you because I know y'all music guys. What's the dude that used to sing with the Doobie Brothers? The one that went solo.
Michael McDonald.
He did a song with Phil, "When a Man Loves a Woman." If you haven't heard it, listen to it, man. Oh my! I'm like, this white boy is throwing down on that song.
The Doobie Brothers on tour.
Yeah, Michael McDonald always been good. It's just the only thing about him that I don't like. It sounds like he got a bunch of biscuits in his mouth.
Yeah, you can't understand a word he's saying. And then he'd be right in the mic. Yeah, he'd be right on the mic.
That was it. I just want to chime in and tell y'all that, man. I was rolling laughing because I don't like South Park. And I watched it that day, and it just, you right out. I was just laughing.
Yeah,
hey, y'all. Y'all have a blessed
when
day.
Saturday Night Live comes on, it's going to be see what their cold opening is going to be on that first program.
Yeah.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Man.
You sound so official. I want to sound official when I respond. Well, good morning to you.
I was on speakerphone. Dude, y'all really was going to take that call from Christopher.
Man,
hey man, we're here for the community, brother. We're here for the community.
We've been telling him to get the joint registered, man.
He's spending more time, and it's just cha-ching,
Man,
cha-ching.
From what dude been saying about that car, don't get it registered. Junk it. Get the money for the plates. They aluminum. Come on, man. That's just nuts.
Yeah, man, that cat got a classic somewhere.
Let me say this on a serious side. We have to start owning up to the things we do wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to the last program, and I'm going to be quick. They had an attorney on there, and he was talking about if the military come here, we need to go block by block and tell them what they can't do. When we having that conversation on them blocks, we need to also have this conversation with our neighbors. We need to say what Pookie and them can't do on this block.
Right. Yeah.
You know, man, come on. Don't chase them. It's unfortunate people losing their life to the tune of once every 10 days. It's the third time in less than a month somebody lost their life. We got to tell our kids, our people, our brothers, quit running.
Yeah. Well,
jump out the car, because you end up jumping out the car running on foot anyway. So just
and guess what? Eventually you're going to get caught.
Yeah, you going to get caught. Yeah.
I mean, start the chase on foot.
Yeah, you going to get caught.
Yeah.
Don't put everybody's property, lives in danger. Just if you're going to jump out and start running.
See, but this is the thing, man. When stuff like that happen, the people that are committing those crimes, they don't care nothing about anybody that's around them. They only care about themselves. So that's why when stuff like that happen, they even leave their guys in the car. So it's every man for himself when that situation happens.
Would you?
Oh, yeah.
Real quick, because I know we're against time. Let me say this. They had a guy last week. They started chasing this dude on 86 and Bradley.
Yeah.
This dude went all the way down as far as Titonia and Melvina, all through the city. Good old Hampton Village, Titonia. He crashed on 91st and Silver Spring, so he went that far back northwest. And he had 3 kids in the car.
Yeah.
His kids, 3 kids in the car.
But that's proof.
We got to find some type of solutions and quit making excuses for what.
Guess what? He gonna do more time than the time he would have been if he that, and if he would just pull over. Now I don't know what happens when people panic. Panic is it does a whole lot of things. But at some point, so
you're not thinking,
dude, you and you got it's just like there are very few people who have been major drug dealers who either didn't go.
Yeah.
But if you're just looking at the numbers are not in your favor.
Well, to be honest, with situations like that, when you have an ex-drug dealer that pulled out the game and that's not in the game anymore, either he learned from somebody else's mistake or he knew when to fold.
There you go. And that's very rare. But, man, come on, Leo. Let's go back to the drawing board. It starts at home, first and foremost. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's quit making excuses. Let's do better. Thank you.
Carla, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, what's up? All right, my brother. How you doing? All right, I got a question for you, Keith. Hey, this couple was on the porch, right? And they talking and stuff, having a good time. And the man said, tell me something really bad at one time. He said, well, your brother, personal funds ain't big as yours. Hey, I got a question for you, man. You think it was funny to you. And you think you think that anyway. You think that's how y'all they from the college down to like 70 miles an hour and operated. Yeah. Yeah, we got to do something about this, man. All right, brother. I have to do it.
All right, let me thank State Senator George Drake. Hey, thank you. You fly, right? Yeah. Oh, did you? Was Clark here today? No, Superman. The good Lord will